If I could have a motion to come out of closed session, I'd appreciate it.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Now we need to certify that the only thing we spoke about in our closed session were the items and the sections that we agreed upon. Do you want to quickly go over those for me? That was sections,
Yes, it was Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A8, consultation with legal counsel concerning specific legal issues. 2.2-3711A6, discussion or consideration of investment of public funds. 2.2-3711A1, personnel. And 2.2-3711A5, prospective business or industry, or expansion of existing business or industry.
so we need a certification that that's all we spoke about, and if you agree, I'll ask you to say also certify, and I'll start with Mr. Philip McCraw,
I say certify.
Mr. Hill,
So certified.
Mr. Robin McCraw,
I so certify.
Mr. Moore,
I so certify.
and I also certify. I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. There's at least one more chair up here if anybody'd like to sit in it. I'm going to ask Mr. Moore if he'd lead us in our invocation and our pledge.
It's all right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to be here tonight to serve the citizens of Carroll County. Thank you for the blessings that it is. Thank you for blessing each and every one of us with the health and strength to be here tonight. Thank you for all the blessings you bestowed upon us, and be with our school kids as we start school this week, Lord, and just ask that you'll put a hedge around them and keep them safe, and be with all the ones that's lost loved ones here in the last few weeks. It seems like it's hit our community very hard, Lord. Just give them comfort and peace today, and knowing that that you're a ruler of all. I ask all this in your precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tracy. Our first item on the agenda is a public hearing for a proposed ordinance of fiscal management. I won't read the entire thing, but it's pursuant to section 15.2-1427 of the Code of Virginia and amendments thereof. The Carroll County Board of Supervisors will conduct a public hearing on August 9, 2021 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter, as the matter may be called on the agenda. The purpose is to give the citizens of Carroll County the opportunity to comment on a proposed ordinance which will codify a comprehensive financial policy for the county, including establishment requirements for reserves and fund balance, cash management policies, debt management and limitation policies, and establishment of policies for funding capital projects within the county. And I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:05. Did anybody sign up for that? Anybody like to speak in the public hearing for that? Any supervisor like to have any comment?
I think Mr. Durbin has an item that I think we talked about adding to that policy.
Yes, Mr. McCraw. I had prepared some questions and revisions to send out to the board. It was my understanding that we're holding the public hearing this evening, but would continue to evaluate that. And basically, it would be comments to clarify some of the policies, comments to address the references to debt limitation, and also for the board to consider when even when a referendum might not be required under the Code of Virginia, when, as a matter of policy, you might nevertheless put the matter to the voters before contracting general obligation debt.
Thank you, Mr. Durbin.
Any other comments? If not, I'll close the public hearing at 6:06. And I think the adoption might come a bit later, as I understand it. Our next item is citizens' time. May I remind you that you'll be given 3 minutes to speak at the podium. Please identify yourself, and we would appreciate if you would give us new information on if you've spoken on anything in the past, give us some new information about that, please. Our first speaker is Elizabeth Surratt. If you'd come on up, please.
Good evening. Thank you for having us tonight. I am here with Carroll and Honeycutt at my side. She got a call at the last moment. She couldn't make it. She had to stay and keep a granddaughter. So she knows more about this than I do, but I'll give you my viewings. We live in Oakland Heights, which is just above the cottages in the proposed area. And we've lived there for 51 years. We're both in our 90s, and we love the neighborhood and the neighbors. We've never had any fusses about anything that I know of, and it's just a wonderful place to live. And there's 3 older ladies who live also in the circle alone, and there's 2 other ladies that live alone right across the street from our circle. I think we need, if it goes to where they get it, we must have ample fencing to keep us safe. That's the main problem, is the safety, I think, we're worried about, because we've never had any problems there, and I know they do have problems in Galax. I don't know why the state took it back when they gave 2 other places back to the county. I don't know why they didn't give the 3rd back. I don't know what the story is on the first 2 or where they are, but I do know that that's what happened. I know that the Amish had tried to get the place for an Amish village, and they were given too high a price and not evidently given the low price that was given to these people, which I don't think was quite fair either. I think the supervisors need to file an injunction with them to have the land given back to the citizens of Carroll County, as we've already paid for it once. And we also ask that the county attorney think about what he's doing, because he is also representing city of Galax and Grayson County for the other side, so that doesn't look like that's too good of a situation for us. I'm not anything against the people getting help. I know they need to get help, and I'm all for that. But I don't think it needs to be right where there's so many people living. Thank you.
Thank you. Allison Taylor.
Hello.
So my name is Allison Taylor, and I have actually never spoke at one of these before. I believe a lot of you know my late grandparents, Ivan and Billy Taylor. They were very heavy in politics, and I never thought I'd be here, but here I am. I live on Water Plant Road. I've lived there since 2009 with my family and my children. It's been a pretty good place to live up until recently. On June 29th, my 9-year-old son, my 4-year-old daughter, myself, my mom and dad, and my husband were attempting to work our livestock that we have on Water Plant Road when me and my children were almost run over by a reckless driver. Speeding has become a very huge problem on Water Plant Road. There are several families with small children who live on Water Plant Road who also do livestock, who also do crops, whose kids also play outside in the yards. I'm here to ask the board to consider doing a neighborhood program where we can get some watch for children signs or children at play. There are approximately 2 speed limit signs on the 52 side of Water Plant Road. The speed limit listed is 30 miles an hour. Now, VDOT does not do a very good job maintaining the clearance of those signs. They're covered by trees, weeds, everything. If you've ever been down Water Plant Road, that's a very curvy road. Nobody has any business doing 80+ miles an hour. This particular reckless driver left 186 feet of skid marks and still didn't come to a complete stop. Over the years, I have begged the Virginia State Police, the Sheriff's Department, Town PD to come out and monitor that road and do radar. Bottomley Enterprises raise crops on Water Plant Road. This time of year, they start bringing in their 18-wheelers. Water Plant Road is a single car road almost. You get to that bridge, it's a 1-lane bridge. People coming through there at massive speeds, somebody's gonna get killed. So I am here to see if we can try to get some kind of program implemented so the children in our community can stay safe, so the farmers who make a living off Water Plant Road can continue to provide for their families. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next speaker, I believe is Linda Shoemate, is that correct?
I'm here to talk about the training center turning into a life center. And we have lived there for 53 years, and I wouldn't feel safe with them coming up there in my neighborhood. I know they have to go somewhere and be took care of, but I don't think they need to come into a housing development where there's children and seniors, and I just don't think it's right, because we paid taxes and bought that training center, and now they're going to give it to a life center. They need to put them somewhere where they ain't close to a housing development. Thank you.
Yeah. Harold Shoemate. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm Harold Shoemate in Woodlawn, Senior Road. And we can see the training center there from the house. We're just right over from it. And when they had the training center there, we didn't have but one incident, and that's one boy got loose, and he came in my house from the patio about 5 degrees. And I know by looking at him by who he was, so I took him to the neighbor. But we got a lot of ladies that their husbands has died down through there, and they've got no protection whatsoever. And I feel like if they do come, we're going to have to take a shotgun or a gun to bed with us in case they do come in on us, and we don't want that. We want peace. And I appreciate it if y'all vote our way. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold. Sally Marshall. Okay, thank you. John Nobley.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is John Nobley. My wife, Virginia, and I have owned the Carroll Wood Campground and Fish Lake for over 50 years. The property, our property shared the largest boundary with the former Southern Western Training Center with a total distance of almost 1,000 feet. If the sale of the training center to Acadia Healthcare moved forward, we respectfully request that an appropriate 8-foot tall security fence be installed along the shared boundary line between our property. This will help prevent many of the primary issues already cited as concern of having a facility like Acadia Healthcare as a neighbor. Good fences make for good neighbor. We want to protect our property that we have spent the past 5 decades building, investing in, and paying taxes for as loyal county residents. We do not want to deal with issues like trespassing. We want to protect the safety and security of our private dwelling. We want to provide for security for the potential buyer of our property who could possibly reopen the campground and the fish lake. We ask you now to please pass an ordinance requiring any rehab facility to be fenced and secured. Thank you.
Thank you. Francis Boatman.
My name is Frances Boatman, and in 2019, State of Virginia gave you all till July of 2021 to come up with a plan for disposition of the property for the purpose of housing children requiring foster care or as a juvenile residential facility at what it was currently the Southwest Training Center. Apparently, nothing happened. At least nothing came to fruition. In 2020, in January, they ended up saying that it could be sold to be used as a healthcare center for 5 years. So they didn't give you but less than 9 months. I have 14 pages here where I went back to your minutes and pulled off all of the information where everybody had spoke about the training center since December. Gentlemen, I'm very disappointed. In December the 14th, Mr. Hill asked Mr. Durbin to look into the legal methods to address the issue. And it was supposed to have been on the next agenda. As far as I could find, it was not. On February the 8th, Mr. Durbin did say that you could zone the areas and zone not the whole county, but just areas with a special use process. April 12th, Mr. Hill and Mr. Durbin looked at getting the Planning Commission to look at it. May the 10th, Mr. Webb said the county should write a letter to the representatives expressing concern. June the 4th, Mr. Hill directed the Planning Commission to address the zoning. July 12th, Mr. Hill brought up a resolution requesting the property back and a letter to be sent to the Office of the State Inspector General to look into it. And then Mr. Durbin made a presentation on how zoning works. What is your response from that resolution? And why has the letter to the State Inspector General not been sent? Why has there been a delay? Gentlemen, I'm very disappointed. I am very disappointed. The citizens have come, they've talked to you, they've provided information. We looked up the deeds where the 2 of the 3 original parcels were returned. What is the delay? It's been 8 months. Perhaps Carroll County needs to engage an independent attorney to handle this $9.2 million asset that, in my opinion, rightfully belongs to Carroll County. Are you going to fight for it? Mr. Durbin is not only representing Carroll County, but he also represents the city of Galax. And the city of Galax is looking to push this over into Carroll County. So maybe it's time we took a different approach. Please, it's time to take action. We could have had a baby in 9 months, so let's at least get this property back to the citizens of Carroll County. Thank you.
Thank you. David Boatman.
Good evening. I'm here to find out why has nothing happened with any substance since December when I first came here. I know a lot of you were caught off guard on the transition and the Life Center coming here. I do believe there is a conflict of interest with Mr. Durbin and representing Carroll County, because it's my understanding he represents Grayson, he represents the city of Galax. Both locales want the Life Center out of their jurisdiction. Carroll County goes to Mr. Durbin and says, what can we do to keep it from coming here? How can one attorney with conflicting interests of different parties that he represents and is paid to do that give a non-biased opinion? You can't. When you go to court, you have two attorneys. There's a reason. The man fights for you because you're paying him. When you have two people paying him to get it out of their area and one person paying to keep it from here, that's 2 to 1. I ask that y'all do an injunction. Every attorney that I've spoke to, including judges that I play golf with on a regular basis, tell me that an injunction would freeze this up for a minimum of 90 to 180 days if it was worded correctly in court. That injunction would give y'all time to pass an ordinance. Mr. Durbin's firm, I understand, his predecessor, helped write the ordinance, not zoning, for Bland County to keep out a nuclear waste facility, and for Grayson County, helped them to keep out a medical incinerator. An ordinance. Why can he not write one for Carroll? I feel it's the conflict of interest. Some of you are retiring. Some of you are not going to be running again. And we appreciate the service that you've done. But do you want your legacy to be that by being complicit, that you have helped Carroll County become known as the largest Suboxone and methadone distribution center on the East Coast, the largest drug rehab on the East Coast? Citizens don't want that here, and I don't want that to be your legacy when you go off of this board. You have an option here today. There are some good questions. Why was the letter not sent to the inspector? Why was the request for the property to come back? Why didn't it include 2 out of 3 parcels have already come back? That's pretty simple. You give them the idea, they go with it. Do you want to be known as the board that helped this thing come in and ruin this county? Or do you want to be known with your legacy that you helped get back a $9 million piece of property for the citizens? Maybe lower our taxes, do something for the children in school, and help our county. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa Cornett is our next speaker.
Thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. I have grown up in Woodlawn. I'm old enough to remember when the training center came in. I remember the problems we had the first few years it was there with the residents getting out, walking up and down the road to the stores that we used to have, the little old country stores. I have seen patients have seizures in the road down from me, and we would have to call somebody from the training center to come get them. I have grandchildren. My husband works swing shifts. Every other month, he's on night shift. I'm home by myself. I don't want to have to sleep with a gun by my bedside in order to know that I'm safe at night. I'd like to ask the supervisors to pass an ordinance requiring any rehab facility to be fenced and secure, and to have somebody watching out for us. Zoning is not required to do this. It is the opinion of Ronald Newman and multiple county administrators that an ordinance is the fastest way to protect the citizens. Ask the supervisors to have the county attorney to file an injunction on the sale of the training center property while the county fights to have land given back to the Carroll County citizens, who we've already paid for it once. Ask the supervisors to require the county attorney to recuse himself in this matter due to the fact he has a conflict of interest representing Grayson and the city of Galax, who want the facility gone from them, and Carroll, who does not want it here. He has a clear conflict of interest because he cannot represent competing interests equally. I also agree with everything that David Boatman and Francis Boatman had to say. We want our county to be safe, and we want to feel safe in our homes. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Kemp? Oh, you've got something, okay. I didn't think I saw him in the audience.
Sheriff Kemp had a previous engagement, so he asked me to read for him. Dear Sirs, I am writing this letter regarding the potential sale of the state of Virginia of the former Southwest Virginia Training Center property to Arcadia Health. I appreciate all that the board has done to intervene in this matter. Citizens have also spoken with me on numerous occasions about their concerns of this potential sale. Just as you all have done, I have also had conversations with some of our state representatives in Richmond about the citizens' concerns of this sale and have been told that I, as the sheriff, have no authority in this matter. I understand that completely. My concern is that if this sale becomes final, the call for services will increase for my agency. This concern is not one based on a feeling, but based on a list of calls that I have previously provided to the Board of Supervisors. As sheriff, my priority is the safety and service to the citizens of Carroll County, which also includes businesses. My concern is that the potential call increase for my office will result in taking deputies from other areas of the county and cause potential longer response times to calls for service by citizens. The State Compensation Board provides all funding to the sheriffs for one deputy for every 1,500 citizens. The additional calls that this sale could bring to my office cannot be something that the State Compensation Board will take into consideration and fund more deputies. Any extra funding for deputies would have to come from the county. I'm not asking for any additional funding through this letter for personnel. I just want to be clear to you what all potential future issues we could be facing if this sale is finalized. I appreciate you all taking time to listen to my concern and apologize that I could not attend in person tonight due to a prior obligation. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at my office. Thank you.
That concludes everyone who has signed up. Is there anyone else like to speak that did not sign up? Yeah. Anyone else? We appreciate everyone's comments, and it's hard for you to believe it, but we are working on the situation. I'll close the citizens' time, and the next item is the payment of invoices. I think everyone has seen that. Anybody have any questions about it?
I make a motion that we approve payments of invoices.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw.
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes. Next item, the minutes from July the 12th, July the 19th, and a joint work session. There are 3 sets of minutes. Do you have any questions about any of them? We can take a motion to approve all 3 of them.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the minutes from our previous meetings.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll start the voting with Mr. Robbie McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw.
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes unanimously. Under new business, first item is approval of the consent calendar.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion we approve the consent calendar.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Our next item is a presentation by Dr. Burnett. Welcome.
On behalf of the entire school board, myself and the board officers would like to provide you with a brief description of the request for funding for single-stall restroom facilities that was made at our July 20th school board meeting. The case of Gloucester versus Graham's been working its way through the court system since 2015. In 2019, the U.S. District Court for Eastern Virginia ruled in favor of Gavin Graham, a transgender student, citing his rights under the Title IX and Equal Protection Clause of using the gender bathroom in which he identified were violated. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals upheld the district court's ruling in 2020, and the Supreme Court refused to hear the case last month. Legislature mandated the Virginia Department of Education to construct a model policy for all school systems to adopt before the start of the 2021-2022 school year. Carroll County Public Schools, at its July 20th school board meeting, voted unanimously to not adopt the Virginia model policy for transgender students and to continue to follow the VSBA and CCPS policies regarding non-discrimination, equal educational opportunities, prohibition against harassment, and retaliation for all students. In order to address the concerns of our citizens and to respond to the Board of Supervisors' request to find a solution to the problem regarding the transgender bathroom issue and privacy for all students, Carroll County Public Schools recommended that all bathroom facilities at Carroll County Middle School and Carroll County High School be converted to single restroom user facilities available to all students. The initial cost estimate to do this was $2.1 million for full renovations. Understanding that this is a huge financial commitment, the project has been scaled down to just renovate the high school at this time, since it is where we have the concern. The project has also been scaled down to the renovation of 4 banks of restrooms located adjacent to the dining room and directly above it on the 2nd floor in the vocational wing, and in the main hallway corridor on both the 1st and 2nd floors. All of the 2-stall facilities will be changed to 1-room facilities by removing a stall. There will be 9 additional single-user restrooms that are added during the renovations to the auditorium, in addition of the auxiliary gym and classrooms that will be paid through ESSER 3 funds. This will bring us to a total of 35 restrooms in a facility that's required to have 31 restrooms by the Code of Virginia. The total cost of this project that is currently unfunded is estimated to be $450,000. Our maintenance department will take care of the locker rooms, changing, and shower facilities by constructing individual areas in our existing facilities. There's a cost to every solution. This is much less costly than the lawsuits that we would get from both sides of the issue regarding privacy rights and Title IX violations that we will most certainly receive, according to our attorney, who represents other school divisions that are currently facing these lawsuits regarding the same issue. In regards to our COVID relief funding, including the $1.7 million that we received from the county that's been documented and released to the public, roughly 70%, or $10,761 of the $15,550 is for capital projects, including roof, boiler, and window replacements, HVAC upgrades, school buses, and renovations and additions to the high school that the Board of Supervisors would be responsible for over the course of several years if it were not for these federal funds. Although the $6.6 million makes a huge dent in the high school renovations, it still does not complete the much-needed high school renovation project. We still have a connecting hallway, football bleachers, and a press box replacement, parking lot expansion, and baseball lighting field issues to consider. We're hopeful that once our debt service decreases at the end of this year, you'll consider finishing this project for us. The other 30% of our funding went to PPE, personal protection equipment, cleaning supplies and equipment, technology equipment and software for each student, salaries for additional time and duties, online curriculum, fuel, and other supplies to ensure that our students were taken care of and educated to the best of our ability during this pandemic. Our funds were also not given to us in a lump sum. We had to complete applications and detail any and all allocations of the ESSER funds. These applications had to be approved at the state level following both state and federal guidelines and could only be used for response, prevention, and preparation for the current pandemic or any future pandemics. Aside from the county CARES funding we received, Carroll County Public Schools were restricted on what we could spend the funds on. We have until September of 2024 to spend our latest ESSER 3 funds on our planned construction projects. We moved quickly and had our construction plans approved by the Virginia Department of Education. We hired an architect and can start as soon as we get our construction bids open and approved in late September, something we're looking forward to. In regards to funding, at your last board meeting, you decided the school system needed to return the $500,000 the Board of Supervisors paid for school buses last fall and the $200,000 allotted for the Gregville Elementary School roof replacement under a gentleman's agreement that we had with the previous county administrator. We accepted your decision and did not create any controversy. We now ask that you restore that $500,000 back in our school accounts so we can use this to fund these renovations. Neither our board nor yours asked for this problem. Please help us by being part of this amicable solution. And if you had a better solution, please let us know. We're more than happy to listen, and we'll work together to fix it. Mr. Haynes or Mr. Sturgill, is there anything else that you'd like to add? Thank you, gentlemen.
Anybody
you.
have questions of Dr. Burwell?
Yes. I thought the Code of Virginia was 24 bathrooms rather than 31.
31 according to our architect for 1,100.
When did that code section change?
I don't know. I'm just going by what our architect told us, and he's very up to date on it. So.
Also, what are we going to do with the locker rooms?
We will do those ourselves. We'll have our guys put in. We bought petitions to put into the existing bathrooms as a temporary fix. We'll remove those petitions, put those in the locker rooms, and redesign those using things that we've already paid for and using our maintenance to do the form of the we'll have to replace some shower stalls and things of that nature, but not to the extent that as far as having to completely replumb.
What are we going to do about sports?
About sports?
Yes, where females can compete with males and vice versa.
That's a VHSL decision, and they have a stringent guidelines on how they handle that. Bottom line, there has to be some type of proof that they're going through some type of transition.
Well, we're just seeing that in West Virginia.
Yeah, but the Virginia High School League has removed that from public schools. That's one thing that we don't make the call on right now. So.
State mandating this, how much money are they sharing with us so we can do it?
That's one of them unfunded mandates, sir. We get a lot of those. Y'all do too.
I mean, no.
We receive quite a few of those, the same as you guys do. Everybody's got their mandates, but nobody wants to put their money forward with it. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, it is.
But I'm sorry, Robbie, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to, it puts us all in a bad spot.
It does.
This has put us all in a bad spot. This board, made a resolution against the transgender. And in my opinion, you all were able to stand by your all's convictions as a board and deny and vote no and made a stand with that. And I'm very proud of that stand you all took. But coming back to this puts us in a bad position to put our morals and our standards on the back burner and to fund this. And I just don't feel like the people that I've talked to throughout the county, the people that I've been in touch with, do not support this at all. And I know it's put us all in a real tight band.
I'm sure.
And I don't know how the rest of the board feels, but that's just where I stand at. My moral convictions is just not letting me support this. And
Yes, sir. All right.
We start school this week,
And if I identify as a transgender female, I get to go in the female bathroom, correct?
Yep.
Okay. We can't stop that.
I fully understand
Who
that.
would prefer a public use restroom over single service? Who would prefer it? We're proposing to renovate bathrooms and solve the problem.
My-
Otherwise, we can't stop that transgender student regardless of our policies. We didn't pass those policies.
I
but
understand
we can't
that.
stop the transgender person, whether student or adult, from going into that bathroom.
I guess my biggest thing about it is, why can't the bathrooms that are there now be converted to just a single use
That's what
fixture?
That's what we're doing. They're single user, they're gonna be a single user facility.
But
It won't look like it does now because you're gonna have a
you're going to have,
toilet
yeah.
sink in
That-
each stall.
Why do you have to put a sink in each stall?
Because you're required by code to do that. You have to have a hand washing facility.
You can have a common hand washing facility.
Okay, let me ask you this, Robbie, how comfortable are you gonna feel beside, I mean, if you're a 17-year-old girl beside a 18-year-old guy washing hands? I mean, it's still uncomfortable. I mean, I think that we're getting new bathrooms out of it, okay? This is a renovation, and I'm telling you guys, we're saving y'all $6.6 million for this funds, of things that you all are responsible for, that you're responsible for.
But we can't, regardless of our opinions and what we think, the Supreme Court, by not hearing this case, has said that a student that's transgender has the right to go in the bathroom of choice.
And I understand that.
Okay, so if you understand that and you want a solution, we're providing a solution. It's got a price tag on it. We have, at the high school, you have how many students?
About 1,100, 1,075.
Use those restrooms 2 or 3 times a day. I have a 10th grade daughter that comes home, holds it all day, comes home to use the restroom. Now, in talking to kids, that's pretty common. When we were in school, and everyone says that, when we were in school, we had gang bathrooms. Every person on the planet is walking around with a camera.
Oh, yeah.
Kids do not feel comfortable in a gang-style restroom. So we're not benefiting 2% of the kids. We're renovating bathrooms for over 1,000 kids to be used 2,000 or 3,000 times a day. 20 years ago, when I dealt with the first transgender issue in education, we solved it by offering a single-serve use bathroom to that individual. That's how we solved it. We can change the labels on our bathrooms and say they're boys and girls. You can say we can designate one bathroom that's a single serve. I don't have to go to that. If there's a girls' bathroom in the school and I identify as a transgender student, I can go to that one girls' bathroom. And all we're saying is we can't stop that, whether we pass that policy or not. We can't stop that child. So what we can do is, again, make it like Dr. Burnett said, equal for everybody. I understand it's expensive. I can't speak for the board, but we're gonna go forward with it. And people are waiting from Richmond to Wise County to see how we handle these. And they're commending Dr. Burnett for this move. Like, this is a good idea. And we can solve it collectively as a community of 2 boards, or we can solve it. But we gotta solve it. And the best solution I've heard from this board so far is don't let them use the bathroom. Now, I'm not trying to be critical. If you've got a better solution, please give it to us.
So,
We have to solve this.
Dr. Littrell, if I may, after this, once the proposed project is completed, what will it look like? We're talking about multiple 30 multiple, where a boy could walk in there by himself and use it, and there'd be a sink in there,
Yep.
and then he walks out and it's a single use, so a girl could walk in right after, close the door, be there by themselves, and it's gonna be multiple iterations of that. You're gonna be 30-something. Is that, okay, I just wanna make sure that I understood what you were proposing.
What,
We have those, but we don't have. But it doesn't matter. You gotta have, every bathroom has to be available to every student. I mean, if the transgender student.
Let's try not to keep the conversation to the audience, if you don't mind.
I got one more question. What are these other localities, like Russell County, Botetourt, or Bedford County, and Augusta County? What are they? They stood up and they're not going to convert theirs.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing we are. They're gonna follow the law, though.
They're going to all of them.
Do what?
Haswell and all them schools are keep it like it is, boy and girl, and, they got bathrooms designated. If you fill up your, being invaded or anything, it's not called a transgender bathroom.
Yeah.
It's called anybody that looks like they're being invaded, they got 4 or 5 bathrooms around.
And that,
We have those.
Floyd County, all these schools around us are standing. And the point being,
Excuse me.
with those bathrooms available, we come back to the same point. If I'm a transgender female and I choose to go in the female bathroom, regardless of the other choice, regardless of a single serve on the top floor, regardless of a unisex bathroom, if there is a girls' bathroom in that school, I have a right, protected by the Supreme Court, to go in that bathroom. And if the school system wants to try to stop me, I'm most certainly going to file a civil lawsuit along with other lawsuits.
The ACLU will be sitting in our office on the following day.
So, you know, if Floyd County wants to keep it like it is, or whatever county, it'll stay like that until the transgender student decides I'm going into the bathroom of choice.
And Mr. Durbin, you tell us we're wrong.
I think you're reciting what the Grimm case holding is. I think that the key holding in the Grimm case was that it's not sufficient to have boys' bathrooms, girls' bathrooms, and then a bathroom that's open or designated for a transgender student.
It's a tough issue.
It is. It's
And
like,
we do have a viable solution, and if we had a choice of 10, we'd probably take the one that was the most financially responsible to the county. But right now, we seem to have one good solution.
Mr. Chair, there's a member of the audience that'd like to say something, if you don't mind.
I have one question also, too.
I'm not opposed to the bathroom for this, spend money and then change it to this, and do something else next. So what are you gonna do when a guy pushes a girl in one of these bathrooms, locks the door, and you can't get in there? Or there's a fight that breaks out, which has happened in a private stall, bathroom, and a lot of stuff's happened out of the way.
yes, sir. You go right ahead.
What's gonna happen is Sheriff Kent's gonna get a phone call. And so you're gonna get a lawsuit because somebody's kid. No, there won't be a lawsuit for the fact that that happened, but there will be legal charges involved because that person violated the law. That's assault, it's potentially rape. We've been raising teenagers forever. What did we do when someone broke the rules when we were in school? There were consequences. There were consequences. So, you know, principals and teachers are trained, they're trained to handle.
I do have a question. If you did do this, when was you planning on starting with school starting this week?
As soon as we can. We'll,
Even during the
work on
school?
keeping those schools going on, we'll do the construction while the school's going on. We may have to do them one bathroom at a time, shut down one bathroom and move to another. But we'll do it as, because it's a pressing situation.
Gentlemen, it's not come on your doorstep yet, I don't think, but, you know, again, Mr. Durbin can correct me if I'm wrong, there's another rule that we heard about in the case that's gonna eventually affect your hiring decisions. You can't discriminate, the Supreme Court did rule on that, even though it was in a limited employment law setting. It equated gender, from what I can read, for one of the first times, it equated gender with the mental identification of gender with the idea of sex for purposes of discrimination under Title IX. That was a Georgia case that went to the Supreme Court. Your very meeting that you had here, that we had, the school board meeting, it appears that there
attendance that night that were using bathrooms with the people that were here to protest against that. These things are out here in our community. Really all, I'm very happy not to weigh into this, but again, the people that I've talked to, the problem is this is here, it's on our doorstep. These suits, whether or not we make a decision that we're just gonna wait until it's our turn to, to be sued, and the county, I don't know if the county will back it or not. I know that our insurance would not cover it, because if we're not following the law, and we're in clear deprivation of the law, they're not going to extend coverage. We're not going to be indemnified for the acts that we take. And so, this is not about being us versus you, or us versus any of these people out here. It's an impossible situation, and this is just a proposal, a solution to try to address a piece of it. There's going to be more. There's going to be more coming. It won't just necessarily be destroyed. Eventually, you're going to have transgender adults. Nobody's even talked about that. What do you do when you have a transgender adult at a school function, like a basketball game, when everybody's attention's on the basketball game, going in the girls' bathroom? It seems to me, from the comments I've heard, that's when you're really going to have a lot of the concerns that people have. It's not as much kids being kids as much as it is this thing isn't just age specific, the way that I understand the law. While the Grimm case dealt with a student issue, the precedent that that case law sets, when they start painting with a broad brush, as if in terms of discrimination and making these statements about that, when you're talking about federal court, you're on a track for these things to be revisited in many other settings. In my reading and my experience, and again, I made myself a promise I wouldn't come here and look at you. But again, based on the kind of things that I come into in my profession and being a lawyer, I'm certainly not a great lawyer or a prestigious lawyer, but I understand how to read and what the issues are. And this kind of thing in different shapes and different fashions, gentlemen, it's going to be coming, whether it's you or the people that come after you, your successors, people that are going to be doing my job long after I'm gone. But this is going to be issues that we're going to be having to figure out a way to struggle with. And I imagine just like the good people back here, my faith and my beliefs are not going to change, they're going to waver. And if they're not going to waver and they're not going to change, we have to figure out a way that we can adapt in a way that we can meet the needs or the requirements of the law, and that we can carry on and keep the identity that we have in our community. And that's what I wanted to step up and say. I was very content until we got into that. These things are scary, but I'll guarantee you, I'll be glad, gentlemen. I don't believe in getting up here and asking for a show of hands. I hate it when people do that to us. But the last thing I'll say, I will challenge each one of you, if you've not done it, as boring as it is, please pull that Grimm decision and read it. All right,
read it in detail, and all of these arguments that the good people out here, the people that have been coming to our board meetings are making, tell me that those arguments weren't at least given lip service when they made that opinion. They've heard it, and they've already cast it aside. And the only way,
Sorry, go ahead.
the only way that I see that this gets changed is if the new Supreme Court that we have, which there's still a possibility this will cycle back around again someday, somehow. But when they had the opportunity to deal with this and make a call on this, they punted. And when they punted, it landed back in Carroll County, and it landed in other jurisdictions in Southwest Virginia.
And you might reference, and I don't know off the cuff, but I can't imagine it's not in millions that was spent on the Grimm case in a losing effort by that locality. I can't imagine it would be millions as long as that was going on.
They made 2 runs to the Supreme Court. Twice they tried.
And lost. So we know we're going to lose if we keep challenges.
it's totally against my beliefs and my thinkings and my teachings. But as you said, it's coming to the restrooms here eventually, you know. I mean, we're going to face it, but I wouldn't talk that way, you know. Yeah.
Just looking for a solution, guys. You guys made, you took a stand against this particular policy, and we've heard the community, their concerns, and this does answer them. Former Senator Carroll came to our board meeting, and I'm sure all y'all heard. He stood up after, he stood and spoke after we made our decision, and indicated that when we discussed that the decision we made was a step in the right direction. The plan we had, he donated money that night to help us out. Now, again, he doesn't sit on this board, but I know that he's a person that, in my experience, is generally held in very high esteem by the community. Where they're at. And, so, that's the extent of what I'm gonna say. Thank y'all.
I didn't mean to take as much.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I have one more
Thank
question.
y'all.
Do you have the architectural drawings?
No, we don't have those yet.
I want to see those first.
Square foot estimate.
Sure. Yeah, $300 a square foot's what the estimate was, and I will make sure that he gets something to you guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank
Thank
you
y'all
guys.
for your time. I just want to say, again, none of us in a million years could ever have imagined last year at this time when we stand up and talking about it.
If you'd have brought this to, if we were in high school and somebody would have mentioned this to us, we'd laugh because we just thought there's no way possible. We'd be talking about things like this, but we are.
But it is ahead of the curve thinking, according to the conversations that we've had with superintendents across the state. And not just lip service to say there are a lot of superintendents waiting to see what happens with this call. Because no one else we've talked to has a better solution either. It's not just us that's struggling to find multiple solutions.
What can you use the funds?
One more clarification. You mentioned the high school, and you earlier mentioned the middle school. What are your plans for the middle school and when?
Go ahead.
Yep. We'd like to be able to do that, the middle school. We know it's not financially feasible to do that right now. Right now, we don't have that problem at the middle school, to be quite honest.
Okay.
And we're addressing the school where we actually have the problem.
That's what I was wondering about. Thank you. I'm going to call a 10-minute recess for consultation. We'll meet back at 7:10. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Litchell?
Yes.
You'd be looking for a closed session. Obviously, it was mentioned, the possibility of litigation.
Yes.
So I would suggest a closed session under 2.2, 3711A7, consultation regarding actual or probable litigation, and A8, discussion with legal counsel concerning a specific legal matter, and that, of course, the legal matter would be discussion of possible litigation and potential liability of the county regarding transgender issues.
Okay, so that's A7 and A8.
Yes.
Can I have a motion to do that?
I make a motion that we enter closed session under the above-mentioned statutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Since you're ready to vote, I'll start with Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McGraw?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Philip McGraw?
Yes.
Yes. I don't think this will take too long, ladies and gentlemen. I think everybody's back. I thought, could I have a motion to come out of closed session?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Is there a second? Anybody want to second that motion?
I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw.
Yes.
I vote yes. Now we need to certify that the only thing we spoke about were the two items that we discussed going into the closed session, and so I'll ask you to certify that that was the case if you so believe. I'll start with Mr. Moore,
I so certify.
Mr. Robbie McCraw,
I so certify.
Mr. Hill,
So certified.
Mr. Philip McCraw,
I say certify.
and I also certify. We're back into open session. Our next item.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to
Okay.
table this to next month.
Okay, there's been a
Okay.
motion to table the discussion of the bathrooms at the schools until next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Table.
To table the school situation until next month.
Since you're ready to vote, I'll start with Mr. Philip McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw.
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
yes. Motion's tabled till next meeting. Next item is committee appointments. There's an appointment for the Airport Commission, and Greg Yons has agreed to do that again for 4 years if you so choose.
Who?
Greg Yons, he's currently on the Airport
Okay.
Commission.
I'll make a motion that we put Greg back on the airport commission.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? We'll vote on Greg for the Airport Commission, starting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill.
Yes.
I vote yes. Are there any other appointments that you choose to make tonight?
I'd like to make a motion, we nominate Terry Russell for the EDA board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll make a motion, we keep Richard Sayers on there.
We have one motion on the floor.
Okay.
We'll dispense with that one and take yours.
Okay.
Any discussion on Terry's nomination? How many slots do we have, one or two?
One.
Hearing no discussion, I will start the voting on Mr. Russell for his appointment with, I'll start with Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a discussion.
I'm
Is
sorry.
this, I just want to make sure we're clear. If he's appointed, then are we just on the motion or the appointment? Because we have two candidates, and I would like to make a motion for the other one.
The motion was to appoint Terry.
Okay.
I'll defer to our
Then-
attorney.
Okay.
If I understand correctly, you've got two candidates for one position,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
and you've got a motion for one of them.
That's correct.
So if this motion, once voted on, carries, then it would basically make it moot as to the other candidate. If this motion is defeated, then it would be open for a motion to appoint an alternative candidate. I think those are the choices you have.
That's the way I had interpreted it. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay. Then I have a discussion.
Okay.
Okay. You know, there's two candidates here. I think, I'm not familiar with Mr. Russell. I think Richard's been on there for a while, and he, I think he enjoys serving, or he wouldn't have applied again, and whether I made the motion for him or somebody made a motion for Mr. Russell, we're going to have votes from board members that are going off the board to approve either one. So, I'd like to see maybe the board consider tabling it till the new board come in January, based on the fact that, when Philip come on the board and when I come on the board, the previous board had nominated candidates for the economic development, before we come on, and, we're getting ready to go into 3 new board members, and, just table it till then. But That's just my discussion.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion on the floor and it's been seconded, so we'll go ahead and vote on it. I'll start again with Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
No.
I vote yes. Motion passes 4-1. Our next item is the Laurel Fork Fire Appropriation. Do you want to explain that?
I would like to. Board, Supervisors, Laurel Fork Volunteer Fire Department sent us requests for the quarterly payments for the third and fourth quarter. What happens is once we budget an item, it's good for that fiscal year. Once July 1st rolls around, the fiscal year ends, all the money that has been paid, it's I'm gonna call zeroed out right then, okay? There is appropriations for this amount for the next 4 quarters of this upcoming year. However, since this was a disbursement requested for the previous year, we don't have as staff the authority to make that appropriation. So what this money would be doing is paying for the allocations of last year. So it will take an appropriation from the board in order for us to pay last year. It wasn't requested before July 1st. That's the reason why we didn't pay it. And just as a frame of reference, we're going to change the policy. A lot of times, unfortunately, these requests are done each quarter, okay? Well, when you get to the fourth quarter, you should really request it 2 quarters at the same time. So third and fourth quarter should have been requested earlier within that year in order for us to pay it. So what we're going to do is try to combine instead of doing it on a quarterly, doing it annually or a biannually basis as a request.
Could you refresh my memory on the amount that we talked about?
$11,250. We budget $11,250 for each quarter, so they get 4 payments that amount. So we've done the first 3. However, the request didn't come in for the fourth quarter in time.
Okay.
So it'd be last year's, but hopefully in this upcoming year, we'll request if they request it for the entire year or biannually, we will look at changing that, but I'll send it out to the board before we do that.
Is this for specific expenses or just general expenses?
This is just a general donation, general funding that we give them, if I'm not mistaken. It's an allocation from the fire department.
So the question before the board is whether we give them the fourth quarter, which was not asked for by oversight.
I make a motion to appropriate that amount.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, I'll start with Mr. Philip McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Next item is Emergency Operations Plan. There's a resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw.
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. There's an MOU for the Laurel Fork Volunteer Fire. And there's one tiny little error under, under terms, number 1, it says form instead of from, I think. I think that's supposed to be from.
Yes, sir.
Should be capital F for fleet, number one. Make a motion, we approve the MOU.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw.
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Our next discussion is the ARPA, and there's some money to be requested there. Mike, do you want to explain that?
Absolutely. In your package, you have a request for appropriation. There's 2 items at this time that we are looking at proceeding forward with. It's a broadband study for $34,625 and a flow study for the PSA at $13,885. This money will be used from the American Rescue Plan Act that we received. It's first 2 purchases made from that plan. And what we'll do is we will transfer the money to the, for the flow study to the PSA for exit 1 sewer and pay the other one out of the line item that we have for this.
I make a motion that we approve these
I'll
appropriations.
second it.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll start the voting with Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw,
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw.
Yes.
Yes. Our next item is ARPA discussion, and I think Mike's going to take care of that.
Okay, over the, I guess the past several months, we've been looking at different items that needed work done. It's, you have a list in the packet of some things that, that staff felt like is really important in order to move forward. The flow study that we talked about just a minute ago will determine the flows at exit 1. We're also looking for a water and sewer connection grant. What this will do is have the opportunity to provide a grant in order to provide hookups for water and sewer service within Carroll County. Also, there's some needs with the SCADA design and also engineering about some sewer flows and the direction they go and the ability to maybe provide some flows to the Hillsville. Also, there's 2 emergency vehicles and that are used for emergency response. Also, 2 vehicles used for first responding. We're beginning to look at some renovations at the farmer's market for social distancing and financial software, which will help us do some more remote working. It allows us to pay bills online, allow access. However, a lot of these things we don't have a definite cost at. So I'm just wanting to give the board some information as far as moving forward with the intent of using the American recovery and funds. What this will allow us and what I'm asking to do is to move forward and provide information as we go along, just to notify the board that we plan to move forward and bring back before we spend any money or commit any funds back to the board and ask for appropriations at a later time. So I'm not asking for any approval. I just want to keep the board informed on the things that we're looking at. So, are there any questions?
Just a point of clarification. Number 7, you're speaking to the retail farmers market. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. What this would do is provide additional office space for the extension office. Right now, they're in 2 main rooms that they work in. This will give them the opportunity to have separate offices. It'll give, we're looking at possibility of having separate mini split units, so each one of them does not share the same HVAC, and put them in a better environment for them to do their jobs.
So that's, that's for information only.
Yes.
There's no other new business listed on the agenda. Does anybody else have any new business? If not, we'll go to old business, and the only one there is the Woodlawn School project. And I think there's an MOU that we need to approve, is that correct?
And I believe there, with speaking with the board, there was one change that we wanted to incorporate in this to allow for the use of the gym at Woodlawn School to include other governmental activities. So during that time period. So with that one change, I would request approval and a little bit of leniency on the exact wording.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I think that's perfect. The issue is that the MOU currently provides for rec department use, essentially. And there is some language in there that provides for use during voting, but I think we want to just clarify that, make it a little broader. I think it was a good point, good catch by Mike, to just clarify that the use by the county of the gym facility would include just sort of a general other governmental use. But generally, I mean, we're talking about rec department activities, basketball, other open gym facility activities.
So is this correct enough for us to approve it as it is with that addition?
I would be looking for a vote to approve it with the one edit to add, other governmental use to the permitted uses.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the MOU with the noted changes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll start the voting with Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw.
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion passes 5-0. Any other old business I'm not aware of? Well, we're down to everybody's individual comments now, and I'm going to start with Mr. Philip McCraw.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and speaking tonight. School board for their concerns and situations of facing them, and especially the people about the training center. I get their sense of wanting security, and I just don't see right now how we're going to be able to help them like they wish we could. And I get their concern, and I'm concerned about them and concerned about the county, how we'll handle it. It looks like it's coming, but I do want all our citizens to feel safe and be safe, and I do have a concern for them, but hope something will open up where we can be a help to them. They look at us and they say, you can do it. I hope we can. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Philip. Mr. Hill.
I agree with you, Philip. We asked for a lot of things to be done for those folks over there, and there's some things in the works, maybe not what they want, but we're moving forward with those. I thank everybody for coming and speaking out tonight about their various concerns. I don't thank the employees for all the work they've done, all the work that was done on the financial policy stuff. Appreciate it. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I'd like to just ditto everybody's statement so far. Thank everybody for coming out, and thank the board for their work and the time they put in, and Mike and his staff for getting us the information we need before we come here. I will challenge all the citizens, but pay attention this week as school starts, to make sure that our kids are safe. And it'll be something a little different, that we've not been accustomed to for about 3 months. So, we have to be vigilant even more so. And, just continue, I guess, to be vigilant with the COVID and stuff. It seems like it's on the rise. And Robbie, you and your family, our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Need anything, you know where we're at. And that's all.
Thank you. Robbie?
Just like to reiterate what everybody said, and do want us all to keep our schools and our teachers and our students and in their prayers as they do start school, in our prayers as they do start school. And I've got a list of some names here of some people that done some work at the old courthouse that I think that we need to thank them. And I don't want to leave nobody out, but I don't know all the names. And Delilah Brady and Ann McGrady and Kim Klontz, I think, worked on getting some flowers and stuff and just dressing up the front of the old courthouse. And they need to be recognized for that because they took their own time and their own funds to do that, and it looks really nice. I wish I could knew all the rest of the ones that helped them, but I think Kim was kind of one of the inspires behind that, so she might could give the rest of the names, but it looks really good over there, and I think they need some recognition for that. And other than that, thank y'all for being here, and see you next month.
Thank you, Robbie. Well, we had a good crowd tonight. We heard some arguments for and against different things, and I would like to ensure those who are not here right now, but we are working toward some of your concerns and some of the things that we're working toward we can't really discuss. But you just have to take our word for it. We are working toward solutions, whichever they might be. And I'd like to express my condolences to Robbie and his family for their loss. And I'd also like to recognize two of our future board members in the audience, Joey and Jody. And after tonight, you all may decide to write somebody else in come November. But Jody's a glutton for punishment because he's already been here once before, and I'm sure Joey has seen his dad and his granddad up here several times, so they both know what they're getting into. But it's good to see y'all in the audience tonight. And that's all I have, and I'm going to give our county administrator a few minutes if he'd like.
I really don't have anything to add. Been a good meeting.
Thank you. And our county attorney has a moment if he'd like to take it.
Thank you, Dr. Littrell. Just two things. First, I don't want to get into it right now because I'd rather, I don't want to prejudice anything that the county is working on. But I will say that I disagree with most everything that Mr. and Ms. Boatman said tonight. I would like some time on the agenda at the next meeting to address all the legal options that members have suggested tonight, members of the public have suggested tonight, because I think that's a worthwhile discussion to have. I think we've been discussing them some, particularly during the presentation I made regarding zoning last month, but I don't think maybe some of that has sunk in, or maybe I just need to reiterate it more clearly. I will say that anyone is free to contact Mr. Cornwell, who was my colleague for over 10 years, who will tell you that the Bland County example that people keep going back to was the result of an ordinance, a zoning ordinance being prepared for over a year in advance. That ordinance was ultimately not adopted until the need arose, and then it was sort of dusted off and was able to be adopted in a very quick process, I think 60 days. But starting from scratch without an ordinance on the shelf is not, without having done the legwork and gone through the comprehensive plan review and the drafting of the ordinance, the public hearings, it's not an overnight, snap your fingers kind of process. I will just say, sort of the last thing on this topic is that I have no conflict of interest here. I have never had discussions with the city of Galax or the county of Grayson concerning the Life Center or the training center. It has absolutely never come up, and I've never been asked to take a position adverse to Carroll County, nor would I. I would be the first it's my ethical duty, I'd be the first to disclose to the board if I had a conflict of interest and withdraw from the representation. I just want to make that very, very clear. Now, the second thing that I do have before you is that, just to give the board an update, I have been going through some drafts of a potential ordinance to grant a personal property tax exemption on the motor vehicle of disabled veterans who are adjudged to be 100% disabled. I prepared an ordinance, gave it to the Commissioner of Revenue for her review and comment. She has sent back some comments, which I will incorporate into the proposed ordinance where I can, and then we'll have to have, I think she and I will have to have some discussions on the scope of the permissible exemption. However, I think we are at a point, if you're inclined to advertise for a public hearing on that, if that's the board's pleasure.
So you're suggesting that our September meeting, the public hearing,
I think we could advertise for a public hearing at the September meeting on adoption of the veterans' personal property tax exemption for disabled veterans.
do we need a motion for that? I believe we do.
Second.
Discussion? I don't have the date of that right in front of me, but I guess we'll do it at the date of the second Monday, and it'll be at 6 o'clock, or thereabouts, as close as time we can.
I think that's sufficient. Check the calendar if you like.
Is it the 13th?
Yes.
Probably would be.
Yeah, because the holidays are 6th there. Yep. 13th.
Okay, no discussion, I don't think. I'll start the voting with Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Philip McCraw. Yes. Mr. Hill.
Yes.
Mr. Robbie McCraw.
Yes.
I vote yes. Anything else?
No, thank you, Dr. Littrell.
And could we put him on the agenda for the September meeting, please? And with that, I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? That's a non-debatable motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.